This speech is about human echolocation. I'll explain what it is. Echolocation is spelled echolocation. Words that may come up that you might not be familiar with are echolocation, high pitch, talking about voice and sounds, a hearing range, the roof of your mouth, and then a medical term which is calcarine cortex. I'm not sure that's exactly how you pronounce it, but that's how I'll say it. And then two names, Daniel Kish and Emma Tracy. Okay, the title is Human Echolocation, Using Tongue Clicks to Navigate the World. Echolocation exists in nature. Bats use it to build up what is called a sonic map of their surroundings. This means that bats can tell how far away objects are by how long it takes for sounds to return back to them. Now, these calls are usually pitched at a frequency that is too high for adult humans to hear naturally. Human hearing ranges from approximately 20 Hertz to about 15 to 20 kilohertz, depending on age. In comparison, some bats can hear sounds of up to 110 kilohertz in frequency. Other animals who use echolocation to navigate are whales and dolphins, and they use echolocation primarily to hunt and navigate in murky or dark water, so not always. Now, going back to human echolocation, Daniel Kish has been blind since he was a baby. This, however, hasn't stopped him from living an incredibly active life that includes hiking and mountain biking. And this man is completely blind. To do all these activities, he has perfected a form of human echolocation using reflected sound waves to build a mental picture of his surroundings. This means that when Daniel Kish clicks his tongue, the world answers back, so to speak. He can in fact hear or see cars, trees, doorways, bollards on the pavement. All of these objects are identified and mapped in his brain using information that he gleans from a series of sharp little taps of his tongue against the roof of his mouth, 2 or 3 times a second. From a very young age, Daniel Kish developed a sonar technique which allowed him to navigate using echoes from repeated tongue clicks. This skill has led him to being dubbed a real-life Batman, a description he actually likes. He explains, in fact, that this is the same process used by bats. You send out a sound or a call, and the sound waves are physical waves, which means that they bounce back from physical surfaces. So if a person is clicking and they're listening to surfaces around them, they do get an instantaneous sense of the positioning of these surfaces. The echoes from his clicks inform Daniel about an object's distance, size, texture, and density. And this information is enough for him to differentiate between, say, a metal fence and a wooden fence. However, he does say that he can't always tell the difference between metal and wood. and it is easier for him to tell the difference between the arrangement of structures, so where they are in space. He also adds that conditions have to be perfect for him to be able to discern between different materials. Echolocation has allowed Daniel Kish to pursue outdoor hobbies such as hiking, despite being totally blind. Kish also says echolocation allows him to engage aesthetically with the world, which might be surprising for sighted people. The sense of imagery is very rich for an experienced user of echolocation. You can get a real sense of beauty or starkness or whatever from sound, he explains. Even architecture has some distinction. If you click at a building, for example, you can hear whether or not the building is ornamented or featureless. Kish now devotes almost all his time to training other blind people in this technique, which he calls flash sonar. More than 500 students in at least 25 countries have taken the course, which is run by a not-for-profit organisation, World Access for the Blind. On one level, however, there is nothing revolutionary in human echolocation. Many blind people and visually impaired people use it. Emma Tracy, who writes for the BBC's disability blog and has been blind since birth, explains that all blind people use sound to a certain extent. This can vary between passive echolocation, in which incidental echoes are used to help navigate, and active echolocation, in which the subject emits a noise in order to produce echoes, whether it be a click of a tongue or a tap of a cane. She says that the echoes created by the sounds she makes vary depending on whether she is in a wide open space or around dense objects, and this helps to inform her movements. She also explains, though, that using sound to navigate has its limitations. If it's snowing, for instance, it's very difficult to get around. And yet it seems that relatively few blind people use active echolocation to the extent advocated by Kish and a few others around the world. In many instances, unfortunately, it is even discouraged. Kish explains that he's personally worked with students who've come from schools for the blind, for whom clicking was actively discouraged. And this is because it's seen as a blindism. It singles you out as a blind person, showing other people that you have a disability, because you're drawing undue or negative attention to yourself. So sometimes the clicking noise can become a barrier for people who are more self-conscious, particularly adults. People who are most receptive to echolocation tend to be young people. This is why much of Daniel Kish's work is focused on training children, some as young as toddlers, to help them gain confidence and independence by using a long cane together with echolocation. The fact is that you have to be able to listen in a certain way in order to interpret the message you're getting back, and not everybody can do that. So not all blind people are capable of doing what Daniel does, but at least he's shown them what is possible. Now, I chose this topic because some of you may know that I teach yoga to blind people, and I had come across a documentary that talked about echolocation. I thought that was really interesting, so I contacted Daniel Kish about a month ago. It took him a while to get back to me, but finally he referred me to somebody who teaches echolocation here in Brussels. And so next Saturday, this person who is going to come to the organization, the organization where I teach yoga, and we're going to hold a workshop on echolocation. So the blind people I teach yoga to will be learning how to navigate with sound.